This module will discuss maintenance issues for career and technical education teachers. We have lots of equipment in our labs, and it is one of your basic responsibilities to make sure that equipment is up and running, and it is up and running properly and safely. And many times this is just one of those extra duties as assigned. It's one of those things that comes with the territory of being a career and technical education teacher. It's one of the things also that sets you apart from a lot of your academic colleagues who don't have to worry about a laboratory full of equipment that they've got to take care of. As far as maintenance goes, I think there are 4 primary areas to be concerned with. One of them is equipment maintenance. How do you address basic maintenance, preventive maintenance, and repair of equipment that you have in your laboratory? Another one relates to tool maintenance. You have lots of hand tools and specialized diagnostic tools, making sure that those are checked, that they're working properly, that there aren't any pieces that are problematic that you need to take care of. Another area is just basic sanitation, keeping the place clean. There's nothing more unsafe than a laboratory that has paper strewn everywhere, oil on the floor, other issues of safety. You need to make sure that the lab gets cleaned up every day, and this is certainly a task you can assign to your students. The last area is the area of environmental concerns, heating, lighting, ventilation. Some of you have programs that use chemicals. Do you have a working ventilation system to keep fresh air coming in? Sometimes this is not anything you need to worry about. If there are problems with lighting in the lab or the classroom, that's the custodians or the physical plant folks' responsibility to make sure everything that is in proper working order. Routine maintenance. This just involves inspecting things on a daily basis, making sure everything is working well, that it's ready to go, there are no problems. Minor service might be, as I've listed here, some things that you have to do because things wear out or run out, so you've got to change printer cartridges, you've got to sharpen knife blades or saw blades, you've got to add oil or grease to certain products, there are certain times you have to clean things, those sorts of things. Stocking of parts and materials, you get things in on a regular basis, they've got to be put away. This is another area where students can learn a valuable skill. Housekeeping, keeping things straight. It's something else they can do that you don't have to worry about. And then this last piece again about the housekeeping, keeping the laboratory, the classroom clean and safe. Preventive maintenance are those things that you do on a regular basis, and a lot of you have equipment that has to be periodically calibrated or cleaned or, again, lubricated, making sure that that's done. I compare this to when I go into a restaurant, I go in the restroom, and there's always a checklist of when they supposedly clean things. I mean, that's the same idea here, is keeping track of when you do things, these preventive measures that keep bad things from happening. And I would put together some sort of chart that you keep track of when things were done, and it's noted. You have a written record. It's one of those things that you do to cover yourself in the event that something goes wrong. I think in this area you can have students participate and they can learn to do preventive maintenance. I think it's well within their abilities to do that. So by all means, get them involved in preventive maintenance. It's another one of those things they can do that can help you out, because you're going to have enough to worry about. Making sure that everybody gets a chance, everybody gets to rotate into the cleanup detail or the preventive maintenance work that's done. I think that's, again, a valuable skill for your students to learn, and it's something that helps take the burden off of you. You can easily develop a rotation wheel with different tasks, and here's a little sketch of one. And if you do a Google search, you can find lots of other examples and tables that you can put together. But simply putting together a list of tasks and then assigning names, and then you just spin the wheel each week and everybody gets a new job, everybody gets to try something new, and everybody gets the pleasure of sweeping the floor, or taking out the trash, or cleaning the whiteboard, or whatever it is that needs to be done each day. When equipment does break down, it needs to be fixed. And so you need to make sure that you have a good system, and that hopefully the district has a system in place to take care of it. Hopefully there is money that has been budgeted. I think it's unrealistic to think that in a classroom, in a laboratory full of high school career tech students, that things aren't going to break. You need to make sure that it's budgeted, and then you need to also worry about how to get it done. Is that something you're going to do, or is that something that's going to fall on the shoulders of somebody else? But regardless, it needs to be taken care of, because if you don't, it's a liability. It's a serious legal issue for career tech instructors. Now, one point that I've always tried to make with my career tech instructors is that if a piece of equipment breaks, many times you may have the skills and knowledge to go ahead and fix it. And but if you don't overextend your own abilities, because if something happens after you've attempted a fix and a student gets hurt, when you go into a courtroom, they're going to ask, when were you given the factory authorized training to repair that piece of equipment? And unless you have a really good answer, that could be a problem for you and the school district. So I think if there's any instances where it's a lengthy repair or a complex repair, that's something you need to talk with your supervisor about, having someone else come in from the manufacturer or some certified service agency to come and take care of that problem. The other thing about it is it's a matter of your own time. If you're going to spend 3 hours after school repairing something while the rest of the staff is going home, that doesn't strike me as fair. So you have a life as well, and so you shouldn't have to spend hours and hours of your own time replacing and repairing equipment. I do think there needs to be a record-keeping system. When you get a new piece of equipment in, or a new diagnostic tool, that you make sure you get copies of the manuals and the service guides that come with them. Sometimes those items end up going to the treasurer's office instead of to you. I had a file drawer of all of the various manuals and guides for all of my equipment. That way it's at my fingertips. If I have a problem or a question, I can go at it. A lot of times if it ends up in the treasurer's office, they look at it and say, oh, we don't need this, and it goes in the trash, and then there's no record of it anywhere in the school district. So, if you can get that together, that's very helpful. And if you have some older pieces of equipment that you can't find manuals for, that could be an assignment for a student to do, to get online and see if they can find it. There are sites now that have older manuals for equipment that are in PDF format. You can go ahead and download at no cost or little cost. So that's one strategy to use. But keeping records and having these documents on hand is an absolute necessity from a liability standpoint. Maintenance agreements can be helpful. A lot of times the equipment in career tech labs takes abuse. You've got 20 high school students who are trying to learn, and things break, things need repaired, replaced, adjusted. So you might talk with your administrator about maintenance agreements, being able to have somebody come in. I know when I taught graphic arts, we had a maintenance agreement on our printing presses, and about once a month the technician would come in and adjust everything, clean everything, lubricate everything. I didn't have to worry about it. We were assured everything was running safely. So I think that's something to really consider. They can be expensive, but it could be money well spent, and it certainly is going to save you a lot of time. So something to consider. Institutional maintenance, these are things, I think, like I mentioned, the environmental pieces, changing light bulbs or dealing with heating and air issues or ventilation issues. Many districts you're not supposed to touch those things because there are unionized agreements that prohibit it. So make sure that you're not doing the work of the custodial staff, because you want to stay on their good side. So find out where the line is drawn for what I can do and need to do, and what is the responsibility of somebody else. You need to have a plan, and these are just some things to consider, to think about when you're looking in your laboratory, in your classroom, and devising a system that works for you. But you need to have a system that does work. Again, these are all based, this is all looking at it from a liability standpoint. If you don't have maintenance plans and ways to deal with these issues, it creates a severe liability for you, for your administrators in the school district, and puts all your kids at risk, and you as well as the instructor. So those are some basic issues related to equipment maintenance in your laboratory.